Okay, so now we're moving on to the fourth video lecture and the topic of lifespan development. I guess if I were to be completely honest, I would say that this is the part um, of the whole like human growth and development stuff that I find more interesting. Um, yeah, the bulk of the chapter in your gen psych textbook is really about early like infant and newborn development, but in the whole class I find the adolescence and adulthood stuff more interesting. I don't know why. Probably because I can relate more to it. Anyway, okay, so if I had small children, maybe the other way around. I'm digressing. Okay, so this slide picks up talking about social development, and that's another important thing to understand about the whole field of developmental psychology. Is there is there it's you can kind of think of it broken down into at least three different areas. You have the physical development, the way the body grows and changes, the way the brain grows and changes. Then you have the psychocognitive development, so how we think differently. And then you have the social and the emotional development, and that is how we interact with people, how we emotionally respond. So, one of the really important concepts in social development research is this concept of attachment. A couple important points that I want to make is what attachment looks like and the role that attachment plays throughout the rest of your life. I was introduced to the concept of attachment when I was pregnant with my second child, and a lady gave me a book on attachment parenting. And the thesis basically works like this: that when a parent and a child bond, and they come to rely on each other and trust each other in the very earliest stages of life, that ability to trust, that ability to trust people and to know that when you have a need, people will help you, will carry through with that person, with that child for the rest of their life, right? And this is Erickson. He's an important developmental psychologist that's made reference to a lot in your textbook. He argued that this is the first developmental stage that we have to go through to be successful. To have a well-being, and that is the ability to trust as opposed to mistrust. So what attachment looks like is, and it's a little misunderstood because, when we see a child cry, the parent drops them off and a child cries and we say, oh, they're really attached. Actually, that's not what attachment looks like. The way we know if a child is attached is how do they respond when their mother or when their parent returns. So I think maybe I'll try to put upload a video and exactly what attachment looks like. So there are three, actually four, but for our purposes, there's three different ways to think about attachment: a secure attached person, an insecure, or perhaps an avoidance. So think of it like this, right? Baby who is completely dependent on others for all of their needs. The only way a baby can have any of their needs, if they're cold, if they're hungry, if they're scared, if their diaper's wet, is to cry, right? So they cry, they fuss, and an adult, a big giant person comes in and responds to their crying and makes them feel better. They cry again, right? They have another need, they cry. Big giant person comes, takes care of their need, makes them feel better, be comforted, change their diapers, feed them, whatever. This happens over and over and over again. And what a child learns is if I'm scared, if I'm cold, if I'm hungry, if I'm lonely, whatever, I can express myself, I can cry out and someone will come and help me. This is so big giant people, good. I can trust big giant people. I have a need, I reach out to big giant people. That is a securely attached child. A securely attached child knows that when I have a need, someone will return. I can be dropped off at daycare. I can maybe cry and fuss a little bit, but when my caregiver comes back, because they will come back, I will be happy to see them, right? So I might cry, but it's on the return. That's how that's what it looks like. Is when the caregiver comes back to daycare, how does the child respond to them? Okay. Another scenario is baby cries, big giant person comes, doesn't come. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't come. Sometimes baby cries, baby cries, baby cries. nobody comes. So, big giant people, good or bad? Are they, can I trust them? Sometimes I'm going to cry right now just to see if they come. Nope. Right? So, this is an insecurely attached child. They get dropped off at daycare. They don't know if their caregiver's coming back or not. Right? They might come back. They might not come back. When they do come back, they might actually be pissed off that they came back. You left me. You left me again. I never know if you're coming back or not. So an insecurely attached child may be angry and may see their caregiver and not really care that they came back, right? Because they don't really trust. They don't completely know if people are good. And avoidant, or sometimes called disorganized, this child is even worse. Not only does a big giant person not come when they cry, but sometimes when they come, they make it worse. So this child learns that I don't ask for help, and because if I cry, it could actually get worse. People are not good. People should be avoided, right? So not only do I not necessarily, I may or may not cry when that caregiver leaves me, but I'm not going to trust maybe anybody here. And if you come back, you might try to pick me up. But in these cases, you'll see children that are so upset that they cannot be calmed down. So the key about attachment is we may think that a child that doesn't let go of their parent is securely attached, and it may actually be the opposite. They don't let go of their parent because they don't know if their parent's going to come back. Temperament is critical to, so attachment is thought to be learned and is one of the nurture things. Temperament is thought to be innate, is thought to be born into. Like this is your natural, this is your nature. And we generally think of as, well, we have two temperaments. You have easy temperament, and I think there's actually three in most textbooks. An easy temperament or an easy child is someone that is a baby that's easy to calm down, right? That if they get fussy, they're flexible, as opposed to maybe it's better to describe the difficult. The difficult temperaments are children that if their schedule is messed up, right, or if they have to live by a very precise schedule. They get up at the same time. They need to go to bed at the same time. If their routine is kind of off, then that makes them fussy. Difficult children may be colicky children. An easy child is one that can fall asleep anywhere, isn't a picky eater. A difficult child is someone who's a picky eater. And the significance here, and it's interesting that they're actually discussed similarity in this textbook because they're not in another one I use, is that a child's temperament may actually influence their attachment. So I'll just use my own kids as an example. I would say that I had one that was a very easy child and one that was not so easy child. A colicky child who's very fussy by nature, by their biological nature, when they cry out, a parent may come to them and not be able to calm them down. And this can make a parent feel very frustrated. So in attachment, let me back up. In attachment, when the attachment is both ways. The child cries, parent calms them down, parent feels good about that. Parent almost can look forward to them crying because now I get to play with my child, right? That there's this reciprocal sort of dopamine response, that a parent will have a dopamine spike when their kid's happy to see them. If a temperamental child, if a difficult child cries out, a child who's difficult to calm down, a difficult child cries out, parent comes and tries to calm them down and they can't calm them down because of their natural temperament, this can actually make a parent feel very frustrated. And so instead of responding to every little utterance of their difficult child's needs, a parent may instead not respond, right? And so because they don't respond every time a difficult child responds, this may undermine their ability to attach. Take the easy child who's easy to calm down, who's easy to amuse, who can fall asleep anywhere, right? Every time they fuss, a parent comes to them, calms them down, makes them smile. In that case, that parent may even wake that child up, right? I remember doing this. I used to wake my child up. because she was so much fun to be with, and it caused dopamine. The difficult child, the one that's difficult to get to sleep or is colicky, you stay away from them because you want them to sleep as long as possible. The easy child, right? You'll try different things with because it's easier to parent an easy child. And because they're easier to parent, it's easier to attach. Now, the importance of all of this, and I'm already over my 10 minutes, the importance of all of these things is that it's also about these are the parent-child relationships are the first role model that a person has into all of their later relationships. There's actually a phenomenon called attachment disorder, and it is thought that when a child does not attach as an infant with an adult caregiver, that they may never learn to attach. They may never learn or experience that profound emotional bonding with another person, um, that basically keeps them coming back. And I haven't even talked about Harlow. I'll stop right here. And when I come back, I'll talk about Harlow.